Hello and welcome. Today we're ranking every Led Zeppelin studio album from worst to best. Few bands in rock history can match Led Zeppelin's impact. Over just 12 years, they released 9 studio albums that redefined hard rock, blended blues with folk, and created a template countless bands still follow today. Jimmy Page's guitar wizardry, Robert Plant's vocals, John Paul Jones's versatility, and John Bonham's incomparable drumming. Together, they were unstoppable. This ranking is about the music itself, the songwriting, the performances, the innovation. Every Led Zeppelin album has moments of brilliance, but some shine brighter than others. At number 9, it's Coda. And calling this a proper Led Zeppelin studio album is generous at best. Released on 19th November 1982, almost 2 years after the band disbanded following John Bonham's death, Coda is a collection of outtakes and live tracks from various sessions during the band's 12-year career. The album fulfilled contractual commitments to Atlantic Records and helped address tax liabilities on prior earnings. Jimmy Page explained, "We thought, well, if there's that much interest, then we may as well put the rest of our studio stuff out." A response to popular bootlegs. John Paul Jones noted, "Basically, there wasn't a lot of Zeppelin tracks that didn't go out. We used everything." The 8 tracks span their history unevenly. Live versions of I Can't Quit You Baby and We're Gonna Groove from Royal Albert Hall in 1970 feature blistering playing, while Wearing and Tearing from the In Through the Outdoor sessions is a high-octane response to punk. But Coda never flows as an album. It's a collection of leftovers. There are moments worth hearing for completists, but it's easily their weakest release. At number 8, it's In Through the Outdoor, Led Zeppelin's final studio album and a polarizing shift that divided fans. Recorded over 3 weeks in November and December 1978 at Polar Studios in Stockholm, the album was created under difficult circumstances. Page was battling heroin addiction, and Bonham was struggling with alcoholism, often failing to show up on time. Jones later said, "There were 2 distinct camps by then, and we, Plant and I, were in the relatively clean one." Many songs were put together by Plant and Jones during the day, with Page and Bonham joining at night. Jones is a co-writer on 6 of the 7 songs, a larger share than on any other Led Zeppelin album, heavily featuring his newly purchased Yamaha GX1 synthesizer. Released on the 15th of August, 1979, the album topped the Billboard 200 for 7 weeks. Fool in the Rain incorporated samba rhythms, while Hot Dog was a rockabilly experiment. The album divided critics and fans. Some found it forward-thinking, while others felt the band had forsaken their heavy sound. In Through the Outdoor has its moments, but it's Zeppelin clearly struggling with internal chaos, resulting in an uneven, keyboard-dominated album. At number 7, it's Presence, Led Zeppelin's darkest, most guitar-driven album, born from adversity. The album was written in late 1975 and recorded in November at Musicland Studios in Munich in just 18 days. Singer Robert Plant was recovering from the serious injuries he sustained earlier that year in a car accident in Greece, arriving at sessions in a wheelchair. Plant later described it as a cry from the depths, the only thing that we could do. With the Rolling Stones booked after them at Musicland, Page worked 18 to 20-hour days to complete recording, overdubs, and mixing. Presence marked a change toward more straightforward guitar-based jams. It's Led Zeppelin's only studio album featuring no keyboards, and with one exception, no acoustic guitar. The 10-minute opener, Achilles' Last Stand, is an absolute triumph. Page piled up 6 guitars on the track, while Bonham's eruptive drum work serves as the lead instrument. Nobody's Fault But Mine delivers fierce blues, while T for One closes with melancholic resignation. Released on 31st March 1976, it topped both UK and US charts despite mixed reviews. Presence is raw, intense, and relentless, but its one-dimensional approach lacks the diversity that made Zeppelin great. Still, it's a testament to their will to survive. At number 6, it's Led Zeppelin III, Zeppelin's most divisive album at release, now recognized as a crucial turning point in their evolution. After their 5th North American tour, finished in mid-April 1970, the band needed rest. Page and Plant retreated to Bron Yr Aur, a remote 18th century cottage in South Snowdonia, Wales. The relaxed acoustic sessions produced That's the Way, Bron Y Aur Stomp, Friends, Tangerine, and Gallows Pole. The album was recorded between May and June 1970 at Headley Grange, using the Rolling Stones mobile studio, with additional sessions at Olympic and Island Studios in London. John Paul Jones emerged as a talented multi-instrumentalist, playing synthesizers, mandolin, and double bass. Released on the 5th of October 1970, it topped both UK and US charts, despite initially confusing critics and fans. The album opens with the explosive Immigrant Song, but shifts into acoustic territory with Friends and Tangerine. Since I've Been Loving You features one of Page's greatest solos, while Gallows Pole showcases their folk influences. The album came with an intricate die-cut, fully functional pinwheel cover design, which at the time was incredibly expensive to produce. Led Zeppelin III proved the band was more than just heavy riffs. They could be rootsy, delicate, and experimental. It's uneven at times, but its ambition and diversity make it essential listening. At number 5, it's Houses of the Holy, Led Zeppelin's most adventurous album, where they pushed beyond heavy blues into funk, reggae, and prog territory. Recorded in spring 1972, using the Rolling Stones mobile studio at Stargroves, Mick Jagger's country estate in Berkshire, with additional sessions at Olympic and Island Studios in London. Both Page and Jones had installed home studios, which allowed them to arrive with complete compositions and arrangements. Jones emerged as a talented multi-instrumentalist, composing No Quarter on keyboards. Released on 28 March 1973, it became their 3rd US #1 and 4th consecutive UK chart topper, though critics were divided. Plant later told High Times, "There was a lot of imagination on that record. I prefer it much more than the 4th album. I think it's much more varied." The song remains the same, opens with Page's groundbreaking electric 12-string work. The Rain song was inspired by George Harrison's comment to Bonham that Led Zeppelin don't do any ballads. No Quarter became a live favorite with its atmospheric keyboards. But The Crunge is a messy funk experiment. And Dear Mocker, Jones called it a studio joke that was not thought through carefully enough, divided fans with its reggae doo-wop fusion. The iconic Hypnosis cover was photographed at Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. Houses of the Holy is bold, diverse, and often brilliant, but not every experiment works. Still, its ambition and standout tracks make it essential Zeppelin. At number 4, it's Physical Graffiti, Led Zeppelin's sprawling double-album masterpiece and their most ambitious artistic statement. Recording sessions initially began in November 1973 at Headley Grange in Hampshire, but halted when John Paul Jones considered quitting the band. After Jones reconvened, the band recorded 8 new tracks in early 1974 at Headley Grange, engineered by Ron Nevison. The playing time covered just under 3 sides of an LP, so they expanded it into a double album by including 7 previously unreleased tracks from Led Zeppelin III, Led Zeppelin IV, and Houses of the Holy Sessions. Released on 24 February 1975 as their first album on Swan Song Records, it became their 4th US #1. On its first day of release, the album shipped 1 million copies. No other album in Atlantic Records history had generated so many sales. The album is a tour de force. Kashmir remains one of rock's most majestic epics, with its Middle Eastern influences and orchestral grandeur. In My Time of Dying is an 11-minute blues workout, showcasing the band's raw power. 10 Years Gone features Page's most intricate guitar layering, while Trampled Underfoot grooves with Jones's funky clavinet work. Rolling Stone called it the band's Tommy, Beggar's Banquet, and Sgt. Pepper rolled into one. The die-cut cover featuring a New York tenement became iconic, and the album has been certified 16 times platinum in the US. Physical Graffiti is Led Zeppelin, firing on all cylinders, diverse, ambitious, and utterly confident. It's a sprawling epic that never loses its grip, showcasing everything that made them legendary. At number 3, it's Led Zeppelin, the debut album that announced a new era in rock and roll with explosive force. The album was recorded at Olympic Studios in London in September and October 1968, in just 30 to 36 hours spread over a few weeks. The sessions took place before the group had secured a recording contract, paid for directly by Jimmy Page and manager Peter Grant, costing £1,782. The material had been well rehearsed during their brief Scandinavian tour as the New Yardbirds, where they performed songs like Communication Breakdown and Dazed and Confused. When they first played together at a rehearsal room in August 1968, Jones later recalled, "Just instant, this is fantastic. And just like, whoa, the room exploded." Engineer Glyn Johns recorded the sessions, which featured very little freeform improvisation. Everything was carefully structured for maximum impact. Released on 12th January 1969 in the US and 31st March in the UK, it reached number 10 on the Billboard 200 and number 6 in the UK. The album opens with the battering ram of Good Times, Bad Times, showcasing Bonham's incredible kick drum work. Dazed and Confused became a live centerpiece with Page's violin bow technique, while Communication Breakdown is a proto-punk assault. Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You displayed their folk influences, proving they were more than just a blues rock band. The album has been certified 8 times platinum in the US and is widely acknowledged as a significant turning point in hard rock history. Led Zeppelin is the sound of 4 musicians creating chemistry so powerful it still crackles today, raw, innovative, and utterly essential. At number 2, it's Led Zeppelin IV, the untitled masterpiece that became one of the best-selling albums of all time and contains rock's most iconic songs. Recording sessions began at Island Studios in London on the 5th of December 1970 with Black Dog, but the band moved to Headley Grange in Hampshire in January 1971, using the Rolling Stones' mobile studio with engineer Andy Johns. The dank, unwelcoming country house in the dead of winter forced the band into intense creativity. Jones recalled, "We all ran in when we arrived in a mad scramble to get the driest rooms. The informal setting sparked magic. A spontaneous jam session yielded rock and roll, with Ian Stewart on piano." Plant recalled of "Stairway to Heaven. Jimmy and I just sat by the fire. It was a remarkable setting." For When the Levee Breaks, Bonham's kit was set up in the mansion's 3-story hall, with microphones hung from the staircase, creating the most sampled drum sound in music history. Mixing at Sunset Sound in LA was disastrous, with Johns admitting it all sounded horrible. The album was remixed at Island Studios, delaying release to 8th November 1971. The band insisted it remain untitled, represented only by 4 symbols, 1 for each member. It became Led Zeppelin's best-selling album, with over 37 million copies sold and certified 24 times platinum in the US. Stairway to Heaven became a cultural phenomenon. Black Dog showcased Jones's brilliant riffing, and every track is essential. Led Zeppelin IV is the perfect balance of power, melody, and ambition, a flawless album that defined an era. At number 1, it's Led Zeppelin II, the album that defined hard rock, knocked the Beatles off the charts, and cemented Led Zeppelin as the most powerful force in rock music. Recorded during a frenetic period from January through August 1969, when the band completed 4 European and 3 American concert tours, each song was separately recorded, mixed and produced at various studios in the UK and North America. Sessions took place at Olympic and Morgan Studios in London, Mystic Studios, A&M, Quantum and Sunset Sound in Los Angeles, and A&R, Juggy Sound, Groove and Mayfair Studios in New York, with engineer Eddie Kramer. The disparate tracks were given a cohesive mix at A&R Studios in New York, with Page and Kramer mixing the whole album in only a few days. Page initially came up with the classic Whole Lotta Love riff at his boathouse home in Pangbourne in late summer 1968. The song became a cultural phenomenon, while Heartbreaker showcased Page's unaccompanied solo wizardry. Ramble On blended folk and hard rock perfectly, and Moby Dick gave Bonham his legendary drum showcase. Released on 22 October 1969 in the US, with 400,000 advance orders, it became their first #1 album, knocking the Beatles' Abbey Road twice from the top spot, where it remained for 7 weeks. The album has been certified 12 times platinum in the US. It has been described as the band's heaviest album, and it remains the blueprint for hard rock. Led Zeppelin II is raw power, absolute confidence, and pure adrenaline. The sound of a band at their creative and commercial peak, changing rock forever. And there you have it, every Led Zeppelin studio album ranked from worst to best. 9 albums, 1 decade. Led Zeppelin took blues, folk, and hard rock, then forged something entirely new. From the explosive debut to the genre-defining perfection of Led Zeppelin II, they never stopped evolving. If you've made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments. Do you agree with Led Zeppelin II at #1? Does 4 deserve the top spot instead? Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.